Now, a major clue might be provided by looking into the history of the IG Farben Company and their relationship with fluoride. It's a who's who of Wall Street financiers, American banks, and American multinational corporations. Now, while researching this topic, I came across a book called The Fluoride Deception by Christopher Bryson. It reads like a novel, it's very accessible, and it covers the compelling history of this poison. Now, most of the information is taken from declassified World War II Manhattan Project documents. The book doesn't set out to undermine the use of fluoride, nor does it say that fluoride is a bad, awful thing, but that's certainly the impression that I was left with. It tells us where the bodies are buried, and a little something about who those bodies are. Now, I had no idea where the fluoride thing got started, although a man named Harold Hodge was a very serious player in this game. Hodge was a nasty piece of work. If you think Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, and Genghis Khan were homicidal maniacs, you ain't seen nothing till you see people who casually order potentially lethal experiments to be done on human beings. Having said that, I guess I have to concede. Hitler knew that when you put people in a gas chamber, they're going to die. I'm sure that Hodge was actually surprised when their human guinea pigs died after being injected with plutonium. Harold Hodge's reputation was detailed in the Eileen Wilson book, The Plutonium Files, for which she won a Pulitzer Prize. It documented chilling human experiments in which the subjects didn't know they were being tested in order to ascertain the safety limits of uranium and plutonium. An AEC memo from 1945 thanks Hodge for his planning and suggestions in the experiment, in which 7 victims were injected with materials secretly smuggled into a hospital. When the Nazis under Hitler decided to invade Poland, the German General Staff and the Russian General Staff exchanged scientific and military ideas, plans and personnel, and the scheme of mass control through water medication was seized upon. Both the Germans and the Russians added sodium fluoride to the drinking water of prisoners of war to make them stupid and docile. Stupid and docile. Would you say that just about describes our population today? Friends, it seems to me that this is a well-thought-out plan that goes back to the Nazis in Germany in World War II. It goes back to experimentation done by the Nazis and the communists over decades. And the Americans have picked up on it, and we're using it here in England to sedate the population. We're totally asleep, totally sedated. I guess the next question is, are you and I totally or partially sedated? Now, the chemist, Charles Perkins, stated that repeated doses will in time reduce an individual's power to resist domination by slowly poisoning and narcotizing the brain, and thus make him submissive to the will of those who wish to govern him. Any person who drinks artificially fluoridated water for a period of 1 year or more will never again be the same person mentally or physically. I've definitely been on fluoride for more than a year of my life, and I don't know whether or not I'm ever going to be the same again because I don't know what I would have been without it. I might have been smarter, I might have been savvier, I might have been less complacent, though I guess I'll never know. Now, fluoride has no proven biological use inside the human body, and that includes teeth. It's a cumulative poison, and only half of what we consume is excreted. So all that fluoride you've been ingesting over the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years is still there, accumulating in your teeth and bones and making them more brittle. The real reason behind water fluoridation is not to benefit teeth. The real purpose of this nonsense is to reduce the resistance of the masses to domination and control. I didn't come here to spoil your day. I'm just a messenger. And what you do with this message is your own business. I'm not on any crusade. I'm not going to write any letters to Parliament and tell them to take fluoride out of the drinking water. I'm just going to remove myself from the fluoride. And I'm only going to drink or shower in water that's filtered. Oh, and by the way, Prozac is 90% fluoride. Think about it, if you're still able to, that is. And now on to the second poison on the deadly menu. Aspartame is yet another toxic substance we're subjected to on a daily basis. It's found not only in diet drinks, but it's hidden in more foods than you can shake a stick at. And the suspect arguments made against fluoride are practically the same with aspartame. No human studies, selective result reporting, massive government involvement, personal financial interests, controlled media, and the only research results coming from corporate payroll scientists. So for the sake of expedience, we'll just cover the basics. Aspartame is not a natural substance. It's an unregulated chemical food additive and the FDA refused to approve it for over 8 years because of the seizures and brain tumors it produced in lab rats. Now, the FDA continued to refuse to approve it until President Reagan took office. It just so happened that Reagan was a good buddy of our pharmaceutical company Searle, which is owned by our favorite multinational corporation, Monsanto. And to cut a long story short, they fired the FDA commissioner who wouldn't approve it. That's the name of the game. You got a problem with your commissioner? He won't play ball? Get rid of him and get someone else who's more favorable to corporate America. Now, Dr. Arthur Hull Hayes was appointed as the new commissioner, but even then there was so much opposition to approval that a special board of inquiry was set up. And this special board said, "Do not approve aspartame." But Dr. Hayes, not to be outdone, overruled them and approved aspartame for use in calorie-free sodas without giving the public notice or full disclosure. So shortly after Hayes approved the use of aspartame, he then left for a position with Searle's public relations company. Now, this is standard practice in London and Washington. You leave private business and go and work for a regulatory agency to get the regulations you want approved, and then you leave the public service and go back into private business and reap the profits that come from your brief holiday in politics. No tests were ever done on primates or people, only on rats, and rats can tolerate more methanol than we can. But even after realizing the adverse effects on rats were so severe, they decided to introduce it into our food supply anyway. The profit potential was just too much to pass up, obviously.